Join Samantha and Hans at the next Macro to Micro Options Power Hour held each Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Registration is free. Scan this QR code or click on the link in the description.
Intraday volatility starts from inside and then moves out. So this is just Monday, Tuesday. And look at the swaths of, ginormous, like you were talking about, the ATR, the average true range of an intraday chart is very large. And you know that I've also been, and I still am, bullish volatility for 2025. So it's not just intraday, but I think this year, and it isn't just because Trump is, chaotic in his on again, off again, on again, delayed, on again, off. The point is, it was time. We were just extraordinarily overvalued, and it was ready to obviously take some of the air out of the balloon. Now we have Trump, who really wants money to go home. He wants the dollar to fall. Basent, again, wants to backstop the bond market. So these are coordinated efforts to hopefully, in time, drive down the dollar, help the trade deficit in order for U.S. exporters to get their, manufacturing back on shore, so supposedly, and drive this private engine growth mechanism. But that takes time, and he's not really, helping to coordinate that. In the meantime, market is very clear. Money's going home. The dollar is absolutely a mess, and it will continue to fall, by the way. It's not serving as a tailwind right now for equities, but it will for earnings for those companies that do derive a lot of revenue abroad. But this is backwardation, right? We didn't just fall in garden variety for a one and done like August 5th or like December 18th when we had a big, 3% down day. The whole curve is now in backwardation. So this is more
I'm
durable.
noticing that. Yeah, sorry, Samantha. I'm noticing that actually quite a few stocks. I'm looking at some of the even sort of 9-10 month vol having reset quite a bit higher, looking at something like the XLF in financials, for example. Really almost 52-week vol option pricing levels in those areas. So there is some evidence that there is almost there's a durable sort of feel to some of this volatility, as though the market's kind of digging in and going, okay, this is going to be a problem for a little while now. So that's going to make for some interesting opportunities on the Vega side of things, short Vega, taking advantage of a drop in volatility at some point. I don't think we're there yet. And I agree with you. I think any pullbacks, so there's always this sort of, one of my favorite sayings is low VIX can be expensive and high VIX can be cheap. And I think that we're probably in the latter for a little while now. So if we do see a pullback, we saw a nice pullback, starting to see the VIX, if you can chart the VIX, some people say you don't, but I certainly think you can. It starts to break down a little bit. Well, yeah, you like to as well, Samantha. I'm 100% in agreement that you can. And if we kind of come down below 24, we could revisit the low 20s. And then I think that's where things start to look a little bit interesting again as a rehook. So I'm almost wondering, and this is sort of my many-decade trader intuition, is that we get a little bit of good news that gets us one of those blow-ups towards the upside. Because when we talk about short gamma and short Vega and all these things, it can work to the upside as well. We've seen it work to the downside. We showed very clearly over the last couple of weeks that chart showing through 5,800, we've got some potential big problems. Boom, it happened. Sure enough, it played out. Now we're starting to see market makers maybe get a little bit more replenished down here. We're seeing CTA selling slow down, vol targeting. So the funds that need to sell when volatility rises and that need to buy the market when volatility drops, there's some good evidence that is starting to slow down as well. So there's some evidence of support out there. We're seeing fixed strike vol come down, which is good. You don't want to see, when I start to see that fixed strike vol, basically those out of the money puts basically rising in a sort of more pronounced way than they should versus downside movement, then that makes me think that people are still offside. We're seeing the opposite of that. Things are starting to calm down within the structure of the VIX.
Join Samantha and Hans at the next Macro to Micro Options Power Hour held each Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Registration is free. Scan this QR code or click on the link in the description. Watch the full options Macro to Micro Power Hour episode by clicking on the video here and subscribe to 𝐬𝐿 Trading YouTube channel for more content.